won't make sense on paper. Listening to your inner voice makes no sense on paper. Up until the point where I started doing it, where I started to actually listen to that voice, everything made sense on paper. To me, at least. It was all head-driven, brain-driven. Default mode network. I was just calculating in my brain what would create the best outcome for myself. As I started to get into recovery, one of the biggest parts about recovery groups and all this stuff is it's, in order for it to work, it has to be spiritual. This is people that come into these rooms are, I mean, I won't speak for people, but I came into these rooms, obsessed with control. I was God. I was in charge. And so that comes from this survival background of like my whole life. I felt like I've been in survival mode. So I needed it. I needed to be in control in order to stay safe. However, as I progressed in these groups and, moved ahead in the steps, the powerlessness is the biggest piece. You have to let go, and you have to allow yourself to be guided by something bigger than your head. And it took me about 2 years to allow that to happen. It was this fight. I was just battling. My head and my heart were just at war with each other. And it wasn't until I went to this cabin last year, February of 2022, in the middle of writing the book, in the middle of all the shit show in my head, I was like, I gotta get away. So I went to this cabin in Nevada, Mount Charleston, found the most isolated, remote piece of land in America. It's like, put me here, and when I get out, I'll have it figured out. And I didn't take my phone. So in the middle of winter, I'm by myself in this cabin in the woods, covered in snow. This mountain's covered in snow. And it gets dark at like, 5 or 6 or whatever. And I'm just...
You get scared in the middle of the night when snow falls off the roof.
Don't even get me started. Literally, yes. More scared than I've ever been.
You're like, am I about to be murdered? No, snow is just falling off the roof.
This is a true story. Yeah, so I for the first 2 weeks that I got to the cabin, I had pretty much a panic attack every day, and I couldn't sleep. I would sleep like 3 or 4 hours a night, sometimes less, and about 2 weeks in, had this moment where I couldn't sleep again. And it was a 2-floor cabin, so I would just like walk down the stairs from my bedroom and just go down to the couch. And I felt like I was losing my mind. So I walked down the stairs at 3 a.m. and I sit down on the couch by the fireplace. I take a deep breath. And then I just kind of start talking like this. I'm like, you motherfucker. Like, you son of a bitch. Like, you call yourself a god. Like, you would do this to me. You would make me suffer like this. Like, fuck off. Fuck off, dude. And this anger, this like intense built up resentment just fucking poured out of me. And for the next hour, dude, I was just screaming. I got up from the couch and just was hollering at God, being like, you motherfucker, shaking. Thankfully, I was away from many of the other houses. There's nobody around, so I think that was part of it. Getting away from the world allowed me to let that out, not worry about who's going to hear it. And so this like just intense anger comes out, and after about an hour, I just lay back down on the couch. I just lean my head back, and this the first time it's ever happened, this voice, this super quiet voice, just goes, still love you. Still love you. Whoa. In the past, I would have questioned it. I'd be like, that's not real. It's not blah, blah, blah. Just making excuses for what this is. But because I'd been alone for some time, because I hadn't had distractions of the phone, because I'd like screamed and let so much out, it was unquestionable. It's like, whoa, that was real. Holy shit. From that point on, it's been an everyday thing. That voice, sometimes it's harder to hear if there are more distractions around, but every day in that cabin, I learned to listen. And I don't say this like, I'm not like, I don't have this like old man talking in my head. It's really just, it's my heart. It's this God-given heart that has been trying to communicate to me for my whole damn life. And I've been shutting it down, escaping from it with my freaking head. And so I was able to listen to it. And now my life is guided by that voice. My life is, I can't make big decisions without getting still, getting down on my knees, waiting, and allowing it to come through. And when I say the voice, it's like, I say it's, this voice is, it doesn't make sense on paper, is because all these decisions that I've made since are, if I were to have made these decisions in my mind, I'd be like, you're literally psycho. But because I get this guidance now from my heart and from the universe, whatever you want to call that voice, the decisions I'm making are leading me in a direction that I would have never gone otherwise, that a direction that's so unfamiliar, because the mind, the ego, is just going to only guide you to the familiar. That's like, it knows one thing, the past, the familiar, blah, blah, blah. It's just, that's why you just repeat these cycles of who you are. And that's why in these recovery programs, they're like, you can't get through without the spiritual piece, because the spiritual piece takes you to the unfamiliar. And the unfamiliar is where you actually become aligned. It's where you actually grow. Of course, the unfamiliar is scary as a motherfucker. Again, why seek discomfort is like the best tagline ever, because that's how you grow. So yeah, dude, what a process. What a freaking process.